First for a second, and I'll cue you.
I'm Kent Katzman.
I'm Sophie Pershing.
And I'm Taylor Ivy. And we are doing hotels for the homeless. Just a little background about the problem here. I'm going to start with a story about $1 Million Murray. He got his name, he was a homeless man from Reno, Nevada. And he got his name because over 10 years, through hospital bills, jail visits, and all these other things, like sleeping on the streets, homeless shelters, he accrued over $1 million, which was calculated by 2 officers who were constantly incarcerating him, taking him to the hospital. All these other things, he accumulated over $1 million worth of money that he couldn't pay, obviously, so it was burdened by the taxpayers and by the city. So the problem in Evansville right now is that spacing is limited. We have approximately 450 homeless people on any given night in Evansville, and Evansville Rescue Mission only has 202 beds. So as you can see, there's a pretty substantial difference between the amount of homeless people we have in the beds. So our idea is to purchase an old apartment building in Evansville. The one featured on this slide is Jefferson Square Apartments. It has approximately 45 units, so it can house 45 families that are displaced or a homeless person's looking to get off the streets. The cost of this is just a little over $1.1 million. Our idea is to renovate it, open it for these families to come in and take part in our program, which would involve a thorough application process, which Sophie will go more into now.
Okay, so some of the things that we're going to ask on the application are the length of homelessness. So if they've been homeless for 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, anything like that. Any efforts to escape homelessness, so job searching, have they been reaching out to organizations, stuff like that. Any addictions they have, or anything they're struggling with, and the number of people in their family. So is it just, a mom, dad, 2 kids, or are there more people so that we can, get them in the right rooms? Also, in order to be accepted, when they submit the application, they have to take a drug test, and then after that, they have to take a monthly drug test. So it would be a 6-month program. It would be a checkpoint system, and we're still looking at what the different checkpoints would be, like how much money they have to make each week and what the end goal is. But once we get farther into the project, we'll be looking more into that. So for the first week, it would be like job placement. So they would be taking questionnaires so that they could find a job that was suited for them around the actual apartment to start out with. So like maintenance, labor outside, landscaping, housekeeping, anything like that. And for the first week, they would get free food and wouldn't have to pay any rent. And then for the second week, we would have like a budget or financial advisor come in and help them and plan out how much they can spend on groceries each week and how much they need to be saving every single week in order to finish the program. So it would be bi-weekly pay, and so this would also help them learn responsibility with their money because they're not used to saving money, so they would have to learn how to save it for the next week so that they're not just getting paid every Friday. Also, they're allowed to miss checkpoints in the program, and like I said, we're still deciding what those checkpoints will be. But if they miss 2, they actually have to restart, apply, and then start the program over again. So we would look for this to be funded by the state. There are actually, like Taylor said, 450 homeless people on the streets on any given night in Evansville, and so research shows that one homeless person costs taxpayers $40,000 a year. And so that's not including mental illness expenses and temporary housing, like shelters or anything like that. So if you take that $450 and you multiply it by the $40,000, that's $18 million per year. So as Taylor said earlier, the cost of the apartment complex is a little over $1.1 million. So if you take the difference of the two, it's a little under $17 million. So you would be saving millions a year. And we could take that money and either save it, or we could use that to continue the program and buy more complexes. And as you can see, it would be really easy to earn your money back. So they've done something similar in New York City and Seattle, which we will talk about later. But we want to start out in Evansville and then eventually expand nationwide. So we've talked to Timothy Weir, which was the Commissioner of Homelessness, and he now works for Aurora, and he sees potential in our idea, so we are going to keep in contact with him. Also, Tracy Gorman, the CEO of Evansville Rescue Mission, he thinks our idea could absolutely work.
So as Sophie said, in Seattle, Amazon has a similar idea. They actually were building a new business building for their company, and they had a rundown kind of apartment building that homeless people were living in, and they decided to open it up, and they kind of renovated it and left it as an apartment building for homeless people to move into. They have a point system, so people can work and do things around the complex to earn points to buy things like in their store that they have there. It's run by a local nonprofit in the Seattle mayor's office, and they have kind of things like our program. They would have job applications, and they would schedule interviews in order to get jobs and be making a living for themselves too. However, there's no time limit on their program. People can just come in and just move in there. So there's no process to get people moving in and out like ours, which is where our value comes into place, because our program is designed around getting people to earn enough money to be able to live on their own and eventually move out, so we can cycle more people in, whereas Amazon, people just come in and move in there, and there's no cycle to keep people moving. So once the building's full, no one else is getting off the streets. Our value proposition, as I said, is to permanently get people off the streets. That's what our building and program is designed for, unlike Amazon. Our program is specifically designed to help families move on completely from homelessness and to start lives of their own. And our value proposition is the heart of our business model canvas, which includes our key partners, key activities, key resources, customer relationships and channels, and customer segments. Our key partners for this program would be Evansville Rescue Mission, Aurora, Echo Housing Group, state government, and charity cars. All of these and the key activities for our program is obviously the program, because without it, our system fails to break the cycle, which is the whole purpose of this, and the people working around the complex to maintain it. And then the key resources is the apartment complex, because we need that to have the actual program work. And Echo and charity cars are two key resources too, because Echo provides the housing for people when they move on from our place, and charity cars is a local charity to help people who are kind of in this situation. They loan them cars for free so they can get from job site to job site and back home.
So with the customer relationships, as I mentioned before, Tim Weir, we are still keeping in contact with him, and he does see potential in our idea. And then Tracy Gorman, he said that with good funding and a solid plan, our idea could absolutely work. And he said that the problem is these things fail because people don't have a solid strategy, and he believes that we do. So we will inform people about this by bus benches, put things up in Evansville homeless shelters, hospitals, and even TV and computer ads to make sure that it's well known.
So for our customer segments, we have homeless families, obviously, because they will benefit greatly from coming into a place where they can live basically rent-free and stuff, kind of make it their own, really take pride in where they're living, and then eventually transition into getting their own place and be self-sustainable instead of having to rely on our program to get by. The state of Indiana would obviously benefit because of, if we implement this in Evansville, what's stopping us from doing it in Indy? What's stopping us from doing it in Fort Wayne? And it would just make the state look a lot better, a lot cleaner, and save taxpayers a lot of money. The city of Evansville.
I mean, I should have just wrapped up because you're over 9 minutes.
Okay. City of Evansville. So basically, all of these things we went through in the business model canvas support our value proposition, and through these activities, we believe that we can make this a real life thing. Thanks.
Thanks.